This is Audible.
Penguin Random House Audio presents The Frozen River, a novel, by Ariel Lawhon, read for you by Jane Oppenheimer, with a note read by the author. My mother taught me that midwives are heroes. My sister let me witness the miracle. My husband sat beside me and held my hand. For these reasons and 10,000 more, this novel is dedicated to them. And she knows, because she warns him, and her instincts never fail, that the female of her species is more deadly than the male. Rudyard Kipling, The Female of the Species. 1. A Hanging. November, 1789. Truth will come to light. Murder cannot be hid long. William Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice. What's past is prologue. The body floats downstream, but it is late November, and the Kennebec River is starting to freeze. Large chunks of ice swirling and tumbling through the water, collecting in mounds while clear, cold fingers of ice stretch out from either bank, reaching into the current, grabbing hold of all that passes by. Already weighted down by soaked clothing and heavy leather boots, the dead man bobs in the ebbing current, unseeing eyes staring at the waning crescent moon. It is a miserable night, with bitter wind and numbing frost, and the slower the river moves, the quicker it freezes, trapping him in its sluggish grip, as folds of his homespun linen shirt are thrown out like petals of a wilted brown tulip. Just an hour ago his hair was combed and pulled back, tied with a strip of lace. He'd taken the lace, of course, and it is possible, fate is such a fragile thing after all, that he might still be alive, if not for that choice. But it was insult on top of injury. Wars have been fought over less. The dead man was in a hurry to leave this place, was in too much trouble already, and had he taken more care, been patient, he would have heard his assailants in the forest. Heard, hidden, held his breath, and waited for them to pass. But the dead man was reckless and impatient, panting. He'd left tracks in the snow and was not hard to find. His hair came loose in the struggle, the bit of lace reclaimed and shoved in a pocket. And now that hair, brown as a muddy riverbank, is a tangled mess. Part of it plastered to his forehead, part in his mouth, pulled there during a last startled gasp before he was thrown into the river. His tangled, broken body is dragged along by the current for another quarter of a mile, before the ice congeals and grinds to a halt with a tired moan, trapping him 15 feet from the shore, face an inch below the surface, lips parted, eyes still widened in surprise. The great freeze has come a month early to the town of Hallowell, Maine, and the dead man could not know this, nor could anyone who lives here. The thaw will not arrive for many, many long months. They will call this the year of the long winter. It will become legend, and he no small part of it. For now, however, they sleep safe and warm in their beds, doors shut tight against an early, savage winter. But there, along the riverbank, if you look closely, something dark and agile moves in the moonlight. A fox. Tentative, she sets one paw onto the ice, then another. She hesitates, for she knows how fickle the river can be, how it longs to swallow everything and pull it into the churning depths. But the ice holds, and the fox inches forward toward the dead man. She creeps out to where he lies, entombed in the ice. The clever little beast looks at him, her head tilted to the side. But he does not return the gaze. She lifts her nose to the sky, sniffs for danger, inhales the pungent scent of